I don't know if you've heard this story or not, but it just recently occurred that a plumber called in a local radio station in Houston, 100.3 The Bull. And basically, they were having a discussion about things that you've found that surprised you. And a plumber called in who said that he had just recently completed some work at Lakewood Church, a big, huge, mega evangelical church in Houston, Texas, run by Pastor Joel Osteen. And basically, this plumber was saying he was doing some work on a loose tile by the toilet and had to remove the towel because it was loose. And wouldn't you know, he discovered a treasure trove of envelopes, 500 envelopes, 500 to 600 envelopes, stuffed with cash, $600,000 in the walls of the church in Houston. Now, the story gets a little stranger because back in 2014, this same church, Lakewood Church, reported $200,000 had gone missing, had been stolen. Now, the Houston police is investigating because Lakewood Church apparently did corroborate the story that the plumber told and said that recently some money in envelopes along with credit cards had been discovered, and they were in communication with the Houston Police Department. Now this gives off Street Kings vibes. I'm not sure if you saw that movie with Keanu Reeves and Forrest Whitaker about dirty cops. You know, we don't have cops involved here. Or maybe we do, but we don't want to suggest things that we don't know. What we do have involved is the church and Joel Osteen and a mysterious individual who would rob the church of $200,000 but leave it in the walls. I mean, that's odd. Because this happened in 2014 and it's now 2021. And they reported 200,000 missing. The plumber discovered 600,000. So that's been 7 years. You're telling me that whoever this person was that stole it 7 years ago left it there and never came back for it? Who steals money and leaves it in the same location that they stole it in? But only in a different place. A place that's hidden. And why in cash? Why didn't they just steal the credit cards? I mean, whoever had access to that much money, $200,000, it's got to be either the pastor himself or somebody in the financial department at the church. It's got to be somebody high up. Because think about it. They would have access to that type of money. And then, too, they would know where to hide it in the church, wouldn't they? A place that you wouldn't suspect. But they reported 200,000 and this is 600,000. So has money been being siphoned all this time? And maybe Joel Osteen didn't even know. I mean, a lot of people are jumping to conclusions, and I don't want to jump to conclusions because we really don't know. This is a very interesting story. Because I would imagine, if you were the reverend, I mean, you could have just taken it home. He did get a PPP loan of $4.4 million last year due to COVID. I mean, he's got a yacht and probably a private plane and probably a bunch of Lamborghinis and cars. So it's not like he couldn't have siphoned the money out. But whoever it is, they left it in the church, in the walls. This is odd. A plumber discovers envelopes full of money in the church. Now, one lens that nobody is taking is this. The fact that this church, a mega church, is bringing in that type of money. How much are they distributing into the community in Houston? What's it like? Are the people, is there no poverty in Houston? Because I hear poverty is really bad in Houston. I hear crime is through the roof in Houston. Why is that? You've got a mega church with 600,000 in the walls, underneath the toilet. You're supposed to be a house of worship, worshiping the Lord, the King of Kings. You know, we're hearing the Christmas music now. All of this about Jesus. And 'tis the season to be jolly. Well, not really. There's 600,000 in the walls. And people in poverty and homeless in Houston. So this church has no problem raising money is what I'm trying to say. So why any homelessness? Why any poverty? You know, a lot of these churches are just racketeering fronts. You give them a lot of money. You sow your seed. Long is thy suffering. But you notice, in all of these mega churches, the pastors, the people running the church, they're not suffering. It's just you. They have a mansion. They're not waiting for it in heaven. Their mansion is here. They're enjoying their heaven here. But you're sowing your seed for the fairy tale mansion in the fairy tale land. Pretty soon they'll tell you your mansion is available in the metaverse. And you'll just need a bunch of, well, whatever they decide to distribute for you to get your mansion. You gotta really stop and think about all the lies and bullshit that these people tell you. It's not even the fact that we know whether or not Joel Osteen is responsible for this or not. It's the fact that the church itself is making that type of money. That they have enough money to hide away in the walls. 600,000, over $500,000. If you got that type of money to hide underneath the toilet, there should be nobody homeless in Houston. There should be no childhood hunger in Houston. You gotta really stop and think what they're doing. They're fleecing you. It's a grift. And they're entertaining to watch and listen to. Because, well, they make you feel good. And if something makes you feel good, I guess you pay a service. So it's like a service fee, I guess. The only problem is they use, well, this magical creature that they speak on behalf of. That's the bullshit. They shouldn't do that. They should just say, this is a service I'm providing you, which they do call it church service. But they should tell you up front, it costs this much. Not when you get in, tell you, well, you have to give this much to us. Kind of is grimy that way. Anyway, this winter, I guess, check your walls. It's the moral of this story. Check underneath your toilet. Who knows? You might find buying $600,000 in envelopes. Santa came early to Lakewood Church. You never know. Santa might visit you too, sliding down the chimney. But I think a lot of you might get a lump of coal. They're like, I've been naughty. I haven't been naughty. Nobody ever asks Santa, Santa, define naughty for me. I'll tell you. Naughty is a plumber finding $600,000 in your walls underneath your toilet. And Houston, especially in the areas predominantly of color, struggling, mightily struggling. While the church is hoarding money in the walls, children and kids are going hungry at night. That's naughty. I just define naughty. And I'm not Santa. And no, I'm not sliding down any chimneys this year.